Did you know that the Industrial Revolution in Britain is referred to as the First Industrial Revolution, since that is where it happened first? Hello and welcome to World History Encyclopedia. My name is Kelly and today's episode is all about the British Industrial Revolution, what it was, and the changes it brought to the Western world in the 18th and 19th centuries. Today's video is made possible by Create Impact 3.0, a fellow history YouTube creator. Lao Tzu said that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And YouTube channel Create Impact 3.0 recently embarked on its journey by taking its humble initial steps with the aim to deliver introductory and intermediate level information set in the form of condensed videos about major historical events, characters, and ancient civilizations. If that exciting journey resonates with you, make sure to check out the channel via the link in the description below. The British Industrial Revolution was a period of both innovative mechanisation and deep social change that has been generally agreed to have spanned from the mid-18th century to the mid-19th century, or more specifically between 1760 and 1840. But that's not to say that there weren't any important or necessary developments before or after this general period. The Industrial Revolution in Britain, known as the First Industrial Revolution, wasn't one single dramatic event, but instead a gradual process of the mechanisation of industry, as well as of agriculture, that created long-lasting social change, such as the urbanisation of Britain, that then spread throughout France from 1830, Germany from 1850, and the United States from 1865 in the Second Industrial Revolution. The Industrial Revolution in Britain included changes not only to city life in urban centres, but also extended to rural communities through agricultural developments. The invention of steam-powered machines opened the door to innumerable developments, such as the most apparent, which also brought forth the most change, the steam-powered railway that allowed for the movement of large numbers of people and goods throughout England. The Industrial Revolution caused dramatic changes to Britain and the world, with a more diversified workforce, improvements to communication and literacy, but it also had its negative impacts, including the exploitation of child labour and unsafe working conditions in factories and mines. The beginning of the Industrial Revolution in Britain can be attributed to a number of causes. In 1700, Britain already had access to abundant cheap fuel with its coal fields, and the people were already skilled in mining since they produced 80% of the coal in Europe. Plus, not only did Britain have an efficient agricultural system that could feed their booming population, but they already had the knowledge of using coke, which is coal baked in a furnace to remove impurities, as a fuel to make high-quality iron. Even before the Industrial Revolution, Britain already had blast furnaces using coke. They had the material to make machines and the fuel to power them. Another cause for the revolution was the increasing cost of labourers. The agricultural system was expanding, but with the increased development of urbanisation and people flocking to cities, farms lost labourers, and those that remained could demand higher wages. This encouraged inventors to design machines that could reduce labour, and then Britain's booming trade empire, especially as established by the East India Company, could be used to exploit these innovations by providing a market for the newly manufactured goods. People who moved from the countryside to find work in cities were exploited by business owners who set up machine-based factories and set what wages they pleased. As more inventions and machines developed, they were then used to make even better machines, and mechanisation surged on as urbanisation followed alongside it, including the rise of a new middle-class consumer market that continued to drive demand for products and innovation. The development of railways contributed to the process of industrialisation, as it meant that there was a constant demand for materials like coal, iron, and steel, cheap labour to produce them, and the means of shipping such materials between points quickly. For the mechanisation of industry, notably for textiles, mining and factories in general, the invention of the steam engine replaced the water, wind and muscle power that had long been harnessed for early machinery and manufacturing. For the mining industry, steam power was used for pumps to drain mine shafts, which allowed for deeper mining. And by 1800, Britain boasted over 2,500 steam engines being used in mines, factories, and cotton mills, compared to the 200 in France and the fewer than 10 in the USA. The steam pump was patented as early as 1698 by Thomas Savery. In 1710, Thomas Newcomen improved the efficiency of Savery's design, and in 1769, James Watt designed the Watt steam engine, which could be used anywhere. From the 1790s, the textile industry successfully used steam-powered machines, so that by circa 1835, around 75% of cotton mills were using steam power with the invention of machines that revolutionized the cleaning, spinning, and weaving of cotton. The steam engine's capabilities were continuously developed, so that by the 1830s, it could be used to power trains and boats. This brings us to the influential changes the steam engine then had on transportation, with the railways of Britain being completely revolutionised by steam-powered railways. The very first railway passengers were transported from Stockton to Darlington on the Locomotion 1 train, invented by George Stephenson on September 27, 1825. From this first trip, the railways of Britain grew and spread, with the next connection between Manchester to Liverpool opening in 1830, and then in 1838, London and Birmingham were connected. The railways were absolutely booming, which isn't a surprise since a stagecoach could take you from Manchester to London in 80 hours, whereas the new train line could do it in 8. By the 1870s, the rail lines of Britain covered 24,000 kilometres or 15,000 miles, and every year they were transporting over 300 million passengers and 150 million tonnes of goods. Agriculture remained an important part of Britain's economy, despite the rapidly progressing urbanisation. Farming expanded alongside the growing population, and new breeding methods were invented to improve livestock, and better fertilisers improved crop yields. Farmers could also harness steam-powered machinery with the mobility and fuel efficiency of the Watt steam engine. Notably, in 1737, Andrew Rogers invented the winnowing machine that separated the wheat from the chaff. And in 1787, the first steam-powered threshing machine, which separated the grain from the husk, was invented by Andrew Meikle. Not to mention, tools were now machine-made, which made them cheaper, they lasted longer, and had better cutting edges. Plus, farmers were able to repair their machines with interchangeable parts, rather than having to entirely replace broken machinery. As a result of these changes and improvements, food became cheaper for everyone, which made it easier to feed the 21 million people living in Britain in 1851. This period in Britain saw these large-scale inventions, and also much smaller ones, that had just as big an impact on certain industries, including Harrison's marine chronometer, which was invented by John Harrison in 1770, which allowed for the accurate measurement of longitude for the first time, and the very first cast iron bridge opened to the public in 1781. Streetlights powered by coal gas was introduced in London in 1807 by Frederick Albert Windsor, and communication was revolutionised by William Fothergill Cooke and James Wheatstone in 1837 with their invention of the telegraph machine. The Industrial Revolution in Britain, understandably, had a dramatic impact, both positively and negatively. Production costs were reduced, which meant higher profits and cheaper mass-produced goods. Transportation was easier than ever, with many finding themselves able to take an excursion at least once a year. And not only were the industries of coal, iron, and steel booming, but whole new types of employment were available, such as in railway stations, on construction sites, and in factories. This period saw women gain greater financial independence, since they made up over half of the workforce. Cheaper books, thanks to printing machines and papermaking, meant that literacy improved. And with better diet and new vaccines, life expectancies rose. By 1800, the urban middle class made up 25% of the population, and could employ servants and send their children to good schools. Overall, the standard of living rose for most people, but only from the 1830s was this the experience of the lower classes. Not all of the impacts were positive. Many traditional industries were destroyed with the arrival of steam power, and the demand for cheap labour meant that between 1800 and 1850, 20 to 50% of the mining workforce was made up of children. Children working on average from the age of 8 would work full 12-hour shifts, just like adults, but were paid less. Not to mention, the factories men, women and children worked in were dangerous and unhealthy places. Loud working conditions caused hearing impairments, toxic substances in the air like mercury and lead were respiratory health hazards, and working with fast-moving or broken machinery led to serious injuries. The increasing mechanisation of Britain wasn't happily embraced by all, and for factory owners, the period between 1811 and 1816 was particularly problematic, with the group known as Luddites breaking into factories and destroying the machines that had replaced them in the workforce, thus taking away their livelihoods. Machine wrecking was also seen in the countryside during the swing riots of 1830 to 1832, caused by the dramatic increase of rents, which meant many smaller-scale farmers had to move or try a different profession. This increasing urbanisation, accelerated by industrialisation, meant that by 1851, for the first time, more people were living in towns and cities than the countryside. This led to cities becoming cramped and the streets and air polluted. Various epidemics of typhus and cholera spread through the cramped cities, and petty crime grew in frequency. Despite the negative impacts, other countries slowly caught up to the technological advancements of Britain, and by the 20th century, there were very few states in the world that remained unaffected by some aspect of innovation brought about by the Industrial Revolution. Do you feel the positive aspects of the British Industrial Revolution outweigh the negative? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on our new videos published every single week. This video was brought to you by World History Encyclopedia. For more great articles and interactive content, head to our website via the link below. If you like my sweater, you can find this design and a bunch more in our shop at worldhistory.store, or you can find a link for it down below. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you soon with another video.